What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. A Clash of Champions is less than a week away, and WWE had another stacked show last night, not only to hype the pay-per-view, but to compete against the recently returned Monday Night Football. But how did it do? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia analyzes the 21st September edition of the Red Brand and looks at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Jon Moxley shooting on Roman Reigns, a coronavirus outbreak affects NXT, Roman Reigns getting a new look and theme, what does WWE have in store for Retribution, and Edge's awful redesign of the WWE Championship. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. As always, we won't waste your time recapping the matches, but we will take a look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly from last night's show. As always, we start off with the good, as number 1, Retribution revealed. Retribution coming out and announcing they had been signed to Raw made zero sense, and the names for its members are something you'd get from a random name generator on WWE 2K20. But Retribution did look impressive with their face masks, and the way they took out the Hurt Business, albeit with a large number advantage. Retribution got off to a good start, but unfortunately the wheels quickly fell off as the night went on. Number 2, Raw to the rescue. One of wrestling's worst tropes is when a small army of heels attack babyfaces and nobody comes out for the save. It's like babyfaces have no friends or something. Retribution's reasons for existence is to destroy the WWE, so it makes sense that everyone on the Raw roster has a vested interest in stopping them, and thankfully that's what happened with Drew McIntyre leading a slew of superstars to the rescue. Number 3, there's always that one guy. Then there's Randy Orton, the wrestler who cares about only two things, himself and winning the WWE Championship. The Viper attacked Drew McIntyre while the rest of the Raw roster was going after Retribution, proving once again that Orton has zero shits to give and he's in it for himself. Naturally, this fits Orton's character like a glove and is another aspect of his personality opponents can mention when they cut promos on him. Is Orton going to win the WWE Championship? At this point, he doesn't have to as he continues to get over as a classic villain, not to mention Raw's top one. But that was the good. What about the bad as number 1, iconic or not? Seeing Peyton Royce wrestle Asuka was entertaining and hopefully the WWE Universe will get to see more of her. However, what was Billie Kay doing at Peyton's side? The WWE went out of its way to split the team, and while we would love to see them reunited, that doesn't appear to be the case. Whatever the situation, it proved confusing and showed a serious lack of continuity in storylines from week to week. Not that we ever have any faith in WWE for continuity. Number 2, Dabba-Kato Dog. The WWE didn't just hurt Retribution last night, they hurt the top dog on Raw Underground by having Braun Strowman beat Dabba-Kato, arguably the only thing of interest on Underground since its debut. Although it was good to see Strowman in an environment where he could showcase his brawling skills, the WWE erred by feeding Dabba-Kato to him and ruining any push the big man had on Raw Underground until Braun's arrival. Number 3, you are not the father. Speaking of continuity, the WWE did show an ability for recalling past storylines when it dug up the Who is Dominic's Father storyline from the mid-2000s. You may recall that off-the-wall storyline where Eddie Guerrero claimed to be Dominic's dad and Rey battled Latino Heat for custody of his son in a ladder match. This week's Raw saw Seth Rollins not only bring up Dominic's daddy dilemma again, but implied that Rey's daughter Alia isn't his. At this point, the WWE should consider bringing in Maury Povich given all its paternity storylines and other soap opera nonsense that is better left on daytime television. But that was the bad. What about the downright ugly? Yes, for the first time in many weeks, there was a downright ugly on Raw, as WWE could have ruined Retribution. And when it comes to introducing storylines with fantastic potential, no one does things like the WWE, whether it's the Nexus, the Summer of Punk, the NXT Invasion, or here Retribution. However, that's nothing compared to the WWE's uncanny ability to take these storylines and destroy them in one night. Whether it's Triple H coming out of nowhere to wrestle Punk, beat him and then kill his momentum, or the WWE to give NXT wrestlers big wins over Raw and SmackDown's best performers leading up to and at the Survivor Series, making them disappear back to their home. With Retribution, the WWE took an angle that had been built fairly well, with WWE taking its time in having Retribution's presence grow and taking their time in revealing their motives. That changed with last night's Raw as they flat out ruined the angle with a number of boneheaded moves, including number 1, revealing the members' identities with no build-up or surprise factor. Number 2, giving the group the most ridiculous names fans have seen in a long time, that being Slapjack, T-Bar, and Mace. I mean, who's next? Sledgehammer, Slapnuts, and Rump Roast? And number 3, booking the group with no logic, as they are now signed to Raw? Why did they need contracts? They just showed up anyway. Does this rebel group just want to enter the WWE legitimately? And speaking of one of the group's members, Mia Yim, she's attacking her real-life and storyline boyfriend Keith Lee. I mean, why would she try and sabotage his title opportunities? But add in Retribution quickly becoming job guys, and it's clear the WWE took another great storyline and flushed it down the proverbial toilet. In fact, Retribution are literally a joke, and this actually comes from WrestleVote. He mentioned, just talked to a source who was in the building last night, said the presentation of Retribution was a major topic of discussion, met with laughter at times backstage. Direct quote, "The masks and names are already making the road for these guys impossible to climb." We have to agree, it was so bad. Last night's Raw suffered largely due to the WWE's hot-shotting storylines and disregarding storylines from the past, such as the Iconics breakup. The lack of planning for last night's show is a bad omen for future shows. Was last night's Raw the worst of 2020? No, but it was the worst thing that could have happened to the Retribution storyline. But that was the good, bad, and the downright ugly of Raw. Let us know what you thought of Raw in the comments down below. Now, let's move on to the news. As our first story looks at Roman Reigns getting a new look and a new theme. Now, ever since Roman Reigns debuted with the Shield all the way back in November of 2012, he sported that trademark vest. That's obviously SWAT gear. Whilst he's changed up the colours and the design somewhat, he's always just had that same look. But now it's time for a change. Roman is a heel, and now he must look menacing like a heel. He needs a refresher. Speaking with Mania Club, Roman Reigns revealed that he plans on updating his wrestling gear.
Alright, so the gear, let me just address that. Get over it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to run out there in trunks. I've been wearing a SWAT outfit my entire career, so I'm just going to stick to those pants. If you watch this Sunday, you'll probably see me with my shirt off. So that's going to be the change. I'm putting in some work. I'm not perfect, you know what I mean? I'm not like a bodybuilder, so I'm not like stage ready with where you can see my spine through my abs. But coming into the wrestling business, I never wanted my outfit to be the costume for me, like where it was like, man, he's a costume guy. I've always felt like I am the superstar, so I don't want like my outfit to be the superstar, what people talk about. So that's kind of just where I stand as far as that. The music, that takes obviously that's a little more than me just creating my own music. That we got to go through the channels with that one. But at the same time, just like, it's not like I just came out and was like, man, he's an ultra bad guy. Like, he's just a really bad guy now. You've seen it in like little steps, little layers, all the way from this past week, where you can see me really enjoy my cousin's company and the victory with them, all the way to like going through the process. So I want all the little nuances to add up. So I think, and because I am a full-time performer, you have to keep things fresh. And, every single week we have to do something new. So I decided to save the new music, and hopefully down the line, once more drastic things happen and the story unfolds.
We love this new change. That vest was getting so tired. We definitely agree a new attitude needs a new attire. Again, he's had the same theme since debuting, only without the Shield intro. And next up, Jon Moxley shooting on Roman Reigns. A current AEW World Champion Jon Moxley may not be a big Vince McMahon fan or endeared to the WWE's creative team, but he still has lots of love for his former colleagues in the WWE, as seen by a recent interview with The Sun. Mox talked about his old Shield partner Roman Reigns and his new heel turn, noting, "The concept of him and Paul Heyman, that was very cool to me. I think that's going to work out really good. All my friends there in WWE, I want to turn the TV on and I want to see them kicking ass and doing great. And Moxley seems to have a good attitude about wrestling in general, well aware that healthy competition benefits fans and wrestlers alike. He also discussed AEW's ratings, noting, "We want to keep growing this thing. I don't stress about it, but it's always good news when we get more people than last week. I don't decide what time or what night or what channel we're on, so for me, my job is to make sure that the people that are there watching have the best experience possible. I don't really stress about the people that are not watching or the channels turn to something else, fucking Food Network or fucking MTV, NXT or whatever." AEW has seen some big numbers for Dynamite of late, and fans are curious whether the promotion's flagship show can break the 1 million viewer mark again, even with competition from NXT. And next up, a COVID outbreak wrecks NXT. Now, bad news for the WWE and its staff on NXT is it's currently experiencing a coronavirus outbreak. Florida sports journalist John Alba recently tweeted, "Multiple sources. There was a COVID-19 outbreak within NXT recently. Working on the details, but sources indicate it may have had a decent effect on creative. WWE, I'm working on confirming more details, but Sean Ross Sapp has verified what I heard, quite literally as I hit tweet." He indicates several PC classes were cancelled and the outbreak happened over the past couple of weeks. Source indicates some have gotten relaxed with mask wearing, especially in spots where some people congregate, and there was concern over that. I'm told people were still testing positive as recently as this weekend, with the belief being a coach accidentally spread it. Now, the WWE has been criticized for its lax safety measures concerning coronavirus, and this latest outbreak again raises the question of whether it's prudent to operate a wrestling business given the close contact between wrestlers. While AEW has been able to operate without any significant number of cases, it's only a matter of time before they experience an outbreak, or could this be unlikely because they quote-unquote don't run a sloppy shop? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Survivor Series plans have been leaked. Despite the WWE making a mess with Retribution on Raw, rumor has it they have big plans for the faction at Survivor Series, with PW Insider reporting the word making the rounds over the weekend was that Retribution versus a WWE team was being targeted as the main event of Survivor Series. The WWE's recent theme of Survivor Series featured interbrand rivalries could see a unique twist depending on how far the Retribution angle goes. Last year's NXT invasion led to stars of Raw, SmackDown and NXT battling in some terrific matches, and the WWE will have to step things up if it wants to make this year's Survivor Series as entertaining. And finally, Edge's awful WWE Championship redesign. Last but not least, wrestlers are often multi-talented individuals whose athletic abilities in the ring are just one of several skills. WWE Hall of Famer Edge has shown an affinity for acting, but one area he should avoid is designing championship belts, especially if his original design for the Rated R Championship is any indicator of his design skills. Edge talked about his goal for the belt during an episode of WWE Untold. When they approached me and said we're going to do a Rated R Championship belt, I was like, right, let me get to work. I got home and drew up this beautiful championship belt. This thing was badass. When I got back, they were like, well, no, we're gonna put your logo in it. Like, that's it? Edge wouldn't want a spinner belt. That to me is the one championship that needs to look like a championship and not somebody's hubcaps. Now, we hated the spinner belt to be honest, but we'd take that spinner belt over Edge's design any day. Would you guys? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.